'Cause she's all you'd ever want. She's the kind that likes to float and take to dinner. Well, she always knows her place. She's got style, she's got grace. She's a winner. She's a lady. Oh, she's a lady. Talking about that little lady. And the lady is mine. Well, she's never in the way. Always something nice to say. What a blessing. I can leave her on her own, knowing she's okay alone. There's no messing. She's a lady. Oh, she's a lady. Talking about the little lady. And the lady is mine. Well,
What's going on, guys? Bart here with Tully Television, and I want to thank you all for stopping by. I hope today is the day that we can get that subscriber to say subscribed, hit all on that bell notification, like, comment, share, all that beautiful YouTube stuff. I want to thank everyone recently that was involved in our Prey movie review. I want to thank all of you, the viewers. It's our highest rated or highest viewed video so far here on Tully Television. So I want to thank Jordan and Smokey Bishop for their work on that. I want to thank Eternally Grateful Seas, aka Chrissy, for her support and help in videos in the past as well. I want to thank you, the viewer, for giving us a shot, and I hope that we can get many more return viewers back here at the channel. Together, I want us to go straight to the moon, baby. But let's get into She-Hulk today, episode 1, airing on Disney+. She-Hulk, performed by Tatiana Maslany. We had Mark Ruffalo in it as Bruce Banner. Jamel as Titania. She appears near the end. And Ginger Gonzaga as her friend Nikki Ramos, the paralegal that helps her at her law firm. The series opens up with Jennifer Walters performing her final argument in front of a co-worker and her paralegal there. The male co-worker that was there wanted to do the final argument because he felt like he would be better at it. He gets kicked out of the office. She wasn't too big on being told that he may be better than her in this particular field. She also references that later on in the show, in the episode, but we'll get back to that. And then they get ready to go to the court session they're doing after the paralegal friend gave her a little pep talk after that. But before they left, Jennifer Walters turns around to break the fourth wall and explains how her origin as She-Hulk. I guess at this point she's been She-Hulk for a couple months at the most, and is only still learning how to deal with her powers, in my opinion, anyway. And it goes to how her and Bruce were riding in her car. She was trying to explain how she thought that Steve Rogers never had a physical relationship with a woman or anybody. And I was kind of surprised that she would be sitting there like shaming someone or joking about someone's being that in their life, being maybe they were saving themselves for someone special. If I just wonder if Steve Rogers was talking about Jennifer Walters' activities in that area. Would that be as jokey to some people as Jennifer Walters doing it to Steve Rogers? Um, to me, it's not really an interesting debate to have in the first place because it's really not my business what goes on in someone's activities there. So that kind of irritated me a little bit. This was a man who saved the world, saved the universe multiple times. Why does it matter what he's doing in the bedroom? And she was so involved in that she didn't pay attention to the Sakar um, the ship that came down to uh, from where the war planet was that the Hulk was living on for 2 years. One of those ships belonging to the Grandmaster came, and with her not paying attention to the road, she swerved off of the road, causing a massive accident. Bruce at the time was wearing a device that was keeping him in his human form. That became dislodged, and he began bleeding, and some of his blood got into her open wounds, creating the transformation of her into She-Hulk. That I don't have so much of a problem with because they established that with the leader in the Incredible Hulk movie. Near the end of that movie, some of Bruce's blood got into his open wound on his head and began the transformation as the leader. We just never got to see that character yet since then. I'm wondering when we'll get to see that character. Um, she spazzes out. I like the practical effect they did on Bruce's face before he turned into the Hulk. It was one of the few practical effects they used on him since his becoming the Hulk. So that was fun to see. We then pick up with Jennifer Walters finding a bar after she calmed down and reverted back to Jen, and she's trying to clean up in the bar bathroom. A bunch of ladies come in to help her out. Came in and then seen that she was disheveled and wanted to help her or whatever. Cool, not a big deal. They're saying stuff like, "Oh, how dare he?" and he'll get his comeuppance because they automatically assume that a man had did something to her. Okay, I guess every time that there's cuts or whatever, that I guess that's done by somebody else all the time. I don't know, but she wasn't really confirming or denying anything. She then goes outside to try to catch a ride, and these three guys begin to talk to her and ask her what she's doing for the night or whatever, and she keeps asking them to leave her alone, and they keep bothering her until she rages out and becomes the She-Hulk, but then the Hulk comes and tackles her and she gets knocked out again. I guess all these guys are bad news. Every guy that hangs out at a bar is bad news. And then waking up in Mexico in nice little hut house where Bruce has a laboratory down below the property that was on loan from him from Tony Stark. This is where he spent the blip at. All those 5 years of everyone being snapped, he was there. That's what he was referencing, this laboratory, when he was trying to become the best of both worlds, as he was trying to explain it to Cap, Natasha, and Ant-Man at the time. And we also find out that Jennifer's blood helped heal his arm that was permanently damaged up until that point by the Infinity Gauntlet. Um, Now I'm going to say something about this next part, and I'm going to. So Jennifer turns around and she's like, "Oh, so then I'm better than you, right? Being that my blood can cure you." And A, she would need to have the knowledge in order to know how to properly do that anyway. She doesn't have that knowledge, Bruce does. And yes, it is her blood that's being used. Um, I initially took that as like, how is she even better at something that she's never, you just only started doing this. But Jordan brought up an interesting point to me that I'll consider for a couple of these scenes, is that she was joking on him like a sister with a big brother or a cousin to a cousin. And yes, I will acknowledge that as a legitimate thing, because there's a lot of times with my kid sister, I'll bust her chops over stuff um, that I know is going to irk her a little bit, but it's just done that as a friendly rib. I do that to my brother. I do that to Jordan sometimes, or Tim, or Smokey Bishop. I'll do a little, and I'm not meaning it really that I'm better than them or whatever. I'm just joking on them or whatever like that, and they do it to me. So I will take that as friendly family jousting with each other by saying I'm better than you. He explains to her how he also burns all of her blood by lasers because he's afraid of what will happen when that, if anyone gets access to that blood. I don't know if she's really fully realizing the scope of what's going on with her, and I'm sure during this season she will. There's 9 episodes to this. How she wanted that co-worker in the beginning of the episode to listen to her field of expertise, she did not grant Bruce that same consideration when he was trying to explain to her how this is a multi-year journey on becoming the Hulk and on how to control your anger and how to do this and how to do that. He was very surprised that she had no alter ego taking control when he wasn't in control, like when she's not in control. So that's okay too. In the comic books, she does have different alters, so to speak, depending on her mood and psyche. So that has been established in She-Hulk lore before. And I feel like that's going to happen this season. That she's going to come. She's so dead set on saying, I'm in control, I'm in control, I'm in control. Then if you're in control, why is there even a show to have? Why is there 8 more episodes to have if she's so in control? You catch me? There's going to be a time where she's not going to be in control, or not in control as much as she thought she would be. Not saying she's going to turn into a savage She-Hulk or a world breaker She-Hulk like they were doing in the comics recently, but she's going to be, I think, taught a few lessons during this show, and I'm hoping so, because then that's where the real hero's journey begins, when you go back to where you began from after your transformation and see how much you've learned in the meantime, to then face the final battle that you have coming before you, that you're using your old knowledge, your new knowledge, and combining it to what you need to have accessible to you now. Okay? Your life is different. You're not going to be able to use the same coping mechanisms that you used before. If you now are at a danger of becoming a Hulk and being able to kill people without even really realizing you're doing that, even if you're trying to save the day. That's what Bruce is trying to say. He tried to say that he tried to Minecraft himself back in Avengers. That far, this is how long the psychological PTSD for Hulk has been for him. And he said the big green guy made sure that that didn't go through. And then he was mind controlled by Wanda and was made to do horrible things. So much so that he fled the planet, lost himself as the Hulk for 2 years on doing death matches every day without Bruce even realizing that's what he was doing, putting his own life at risk every day, literally, having to kill people without really realizing that's what he's doing. And to then have that conversation with Jennifer when she says, oh, I know what anger and rage is when I'm being catcalled, or I have a man trying to mansplain to me something. And I'm not saying that those issues aren't real issues to be concerned about. She said also that she has to worry about being Minecrafted, ended, by who? Specifically, just crazy people, because then that's everybody. That's men too. Men can leave their home and be done by somebody else's hand as well. So I'm not sure what she was trying to get to at that point. And yes, being catcalled and then being having a coworker not exactly understanding your level of expertise can be frustrating. Well, I guess guys are not supposed to really then show interest in you, I guess. I don't know where the nuances lie within that, but I understand to her it's her own personal issues. But compared to some of the issues Bruce has been through, I don't find it to be the same level of trauma that Bruce has lived and that Jennifer Walters has lived. It's not the same level of trauma. She's comparing the trauma. So if she's trying to compare the trauma, then that's what we'll do, because then it's clear Bruce has been through more trauma than she has. So maybe that is why she's better at handling her anger issues, because there hasn't been too many things to be angry about. Maybe you're living a pretty good life if you know how to deal with. The name of the episode is The Right Amount of Rage. And I think, yes, for the most part, people have a normal amount of rage when it comes to things. Obviously, Bruce doesn't, because we know of his past with his father and then being chased by Thunderbolt Ross and mind controlled by Wanda for a little while, and then having to do death matches for the Grandmaster. That's a lot of trauma to go through. And then being in love with Natasha, never seeing her again. Maybe in time we'll learn more about Jennifer, but that is the one sticking point for me that has really bothered me about this show, this episode so far. So her trying to say she's better than, or this or that, I'll just take as a friendly joking towards her cousin. She's trying to blame Bruce for her not paying attention to the road, and that's why she's the Hulk. So she's not taking any accountability for her actions, which is kind of irritating me a little bit too. But I'm hoping that, like the Miss Marvel show, where I was a little leery on it, but enjoyed it by the end, I hope that this will happen with this show. There's still 8 episodes left, and that was my main nitpick. Everything else I can let slide for the most part when looking at it from the other end, but her trying to compare the trauma with Bruce and then blaming Bruce for this transformation when it was she who was driving and wrecked the car due to her not paying attention. Those are my two major gripes about this episode. At the end, she starts to speak when it's her turn to speak, but then Titania shows up, breaks a hole in the courtroom wall, throws a bench. She-Hulk grabs it and throws it back at her. Titania did some weird flying kick move. It looked like how... It looked weird. The wiring job for that looked a little weird too. And then She-Hulk just punched her out, and she transformed to Jennifer Walters again, and was like, "All right, where was I now?" And that's where the episode ends. We get an end credit to show Bruce admitting that Steve Rogers is not a virgin, and he was with a lady during the USO tour back in Captain America. That lady that approached him during the tour was the lucky gal of the super soldier serum. Bada boom, bada bing, you know what I mean? And then the last words was Captain America and F word. I'm trying to do better on my language here and seeing how that goes for our channel. I do want to have us reach more people, so I'm trying to be a little bit more aware of the cuss words. But that's the end of the episode. Those are my two gripes. Everything else was okay. I'm going to give this episode a 6 out of 10. Yeah, a 6 out of 10. Some of the fight scenes were cool. I liked the thunderclap, seeing that. But we'll see. We'll see how the rest of these episodes go. And that's it. That's my thoughts on She-Hulk episode 1. Until next time, peace, schnookums.
I bust all others, leave them frying in the griddle in the middle like Moni. You're phony cause your style's baloney, but that rocks with no filler. Ain't a girl MC Illa putting rappers on ice, then lock the bodies in the chiller. The way I fucks it up, I up truck nasty style like throw up, blow up, then go nuts like a lady ninja killer. I draw you deep beneath the surface. It's the rage front page, I heat it up like a furnace. My stilo got smoke, check the gamma ray from the She-Hulk. Stomping through your territory, new rap female category winner. And your style gets played out like the spinners. Not a soprano, an alto, the rage is the tenor. My voice is just right, I bust hypodermic so you're in the mind's eye, making you hip-hop junkies wanna fly like eagles. My style sharp as cathedral steeples, showing and proving even a lady can be diesel. So breaker, you best keep on trucking, and roll on with that chicken shit you're clucking. You're stuckin', stupid, you doofus. I'm rhyming so hard, I'm knocking out your toothless, a teethus. Believe this shit, butthead, you'll get played out like Beavis. Receive it, it's yours, lyrical murder, but still rocking on.
Rock on, the lady you rage, lyrical murderer, the baddest lyricist.
Now I'm a explosive vocalist, make you readjust your focus. No hocus pocus, no bogus, I'm the dopest. Lyrically the locust, it's so copacetic. I see through your synthetics with my telekinetics. I mean my telepathics from this mouth of madness flows one of the baddest in existence. My existence is prevalent.